The X-Men are back and Marvel is betting the entire future of the MCU on them. James Marsden just said the quiet part out loud. And Marvel fans are not ready for what comes next. In a series of recent interviews, the actor who originated the role of Cyclops in the 2000 X-Men film broke his silence on what to expect from his return in Avengers Doomsday and the details he revealed, even while carefully dodging Marvel's notoriously watchful eye. Paint a picture of one of the most complex mutant storylines the franchise has ever attempted. Marsden confirmed that his version of Cyclops will appear in Avengers Doomsday alongside the broader X-Men team, a group that eagle-eyed fans have already spotted in official trailer footage released by the Russo brothers. In those scenes, Cyclops stands in front of the X-Mansion as Sentinels rendered in strikingly comic book-accurate detail rage in the background. It is a visual that sent the internet into a full meltdown the moment it dropped. But here is where it gets complicated. When asked about his dynamic with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, Marsden was conspicuously careful. He spoke warmly about Jackman and described their characters' relationship as a healthy brotherly competition, full of mutual annoyance and grudging respect. Then he paused, glanced off-camera what he himself jokingly called looking at the Marvel snipers, and said simply that Wolverine was missed on set. That single word, missed, tells you almost everything you need to know. The reason Wolverine was missed comes down to the multiverse mechanics Marvel has been quietly assembling. Deadpool and Wolverine ended with Ryan Reynolds' Wade Wilson and Hugh Jackman's Logan firmly planted on the Earth of the original X-Men film continuity, the same universe fans spent 2 decades watching. The X-Men team shown in the Avengers Doomsday trailers, however, is being treated as a parallel version from a separate universe, one that merely resembles the classic cast but is not literally the same individuals. Think of it the same way Monica Rambeau slipped into an alternate dimension at the end of the Marvels, ending up somewhere that looked familiar but was not quite home. These X-Men wear the look of the originals, right down to the yellow spandex that Cyclops famously mocked in the first film. But they are functionally a different team operating in a different reality. This means Deadpool and Wolverine, despite being in the same movie, are likely off doing something entirely separate from this X-Men unit during the events of Doomsday. They exist on their Earth. This team exists on another. The story threads will almost certainly converge eventually. But for now, Marvel is keeping the branches deliberately apart, explaining why Marsden's Cyclops would have no scenes with Jackman even while both actors appear in the same film. Marsden also opened up about the infamous black leather costume debate, a conversation that has followed him since the original X-Men hit theaters in 2000. He recalled with genuine humor the first day of filming at the Statue of Liberty, where he and a castmate attempted to vault over a small retaining wall in their rigid, movement-restricting leather suits and nearly tripped over it. He described the footage as something that looked like they were both about to be fired on the spot. Putting on the new comic-accurate costume for Doomsday was, by contrast, a completely different experience. He said it felt genuinely cool, genuinely heroic, right up until the moment the visor went on and he lost all visibility again. The original decision to dress the X-Men in black leather traces back to a very specific anxiety that gripped Hollywood in the late 1990s. When Batman and Robin landed in theaters in 1997 and was met with near-universal ridicule, studios across the industry became terrified of anything that looked too earnest, too bright, too comic booky. Fox and Bryan Singer were no exception. They wanted distance from camp at all costs. The same period also produced Blade with Wesley Snipes, a darker, harder-edged superhero film that performed well. And then The Matrix arrived in 1999, dressed entirely in black trenchcoats, and became a cultural phenomenon. The studio logic at Fox, as Kevin Feige has since recounted, was essentially black leather worked for Blade, black leather worked for The Matrix, therefore black leather equals box office. That was genuinely the depth of the analysis. The result was a line of dialogue given to Marsden that became one of the most quoted moments in early superhero cinema, though Marsden has been quick to note he was an actor hired to deliver those words, not someone who personally held that philosophy. X-Men 97, the animated continuation that premiered recently, actually flipped the joke entirely. That version of Cyclops openly mocks the black leather look rather than the yellow spandex, a deliberate inversion that signals how far the culture has shifted since 2000. None of the original cast, Marsden included, had any idea when they started filming that first movie that they were laying the foundation for a franchise that would span more than 2 decades, reshape Hollywood, and eventually fold into the largest superhero universe ever constructed. Hugh Jackman, who agreed to play Wolverine without any expectation of returning beyond a single film, is now being kept in the role well into his 50s by the combined force of Fox's legacy, Disney's acquisition, and the unstoppable popularity of Deadpool. The question of where the original cast's other members fit into all of this has become one of Marvel's most closely guarded puzzles. Famke Janssen, who played Jean Grey across multiple films in the original Fox continuity, has stated repeatedly in interviews that she is not in Avengers Doomsday. She was absent from the Russo brothers' Chair Watch reveal video, which offered a sprawling look at the assembled cast. Rumors circulating within fan communities suggest her version of Jean Grey may be dead within that universe's timeline, though nothing has been confirmed. Halle Berry's Storm is similarly absent from what has been publicly shown, leading to widespread speculation that both characters are being held back for Avengers Secret Wars, where the full multiverse collision is expected to make Doomsday look modest by comparison. At the same time, Marvel is quietly building its own Jean Grey from scratch. Sadie Sink, best known for Stranger Things, is set to appear in Spider-Man Brand New Day as an entirely different version of the character unconnected to Janssen's, drawn from a separate universe, and clearly intended to be the face of Jean Grey for whatever the MCU looks like after Secret Wars closes the book on the multiverse era. This is not a recast. It is a deliberate pivot, and Brand New Day appears to be the chosen launchpad. Zoom out far enough and Kevin Feige's blueprint becomes hard to miss. The X-Men are not being brought back for nostalgia alone. They are being positioned as the load-bearing wall of the MCU's next decade. With a standalone X-Men film already in reported development for Phase 7, Secret Wars is the hinge point the moment Marvel transitions legacy characters off the stage while introducing the replacements who will carry the brand forward. Deadpool and Wolverine are expected to play larger roles in Secret Wars than in Doomsday, which makes the still unexplained Thor crying scene all the more interesting. Director Sean Levy has openly admitted the moment was included simply because the team found it funny, with the assumption that Marvel would sort out the meaning later. It is the same creative philosophy that made Endgame look like a decade of careful planning when it was really a combination of vision, instinct, and controlled improvisation. Whether Secret Wars pays that joke off with something genuinely earned, perhaps another version of Thor entirely, drawn from Thor core mythology in the comics, weeping over Deadpool for reasons no one yet knows or quietly buries it, will say a great deal about how much control the Russo brothers actually have over a film that is already shaping up to be the most crowded comic book movie ever assembled. Now it is your turn. Do you think Marvel is handling the X-Men transition correctly by splitting the original cast across Doomsday and Secret Wars? Or should they have brought everyone back together at once for maximum impact? And what do you make of Sadie Sink stepping in as a new Jean Grey while Famke Janssen appears to be sidelined? Is that the right call? Or does it feel like a missed opportunity? Drop your take in the comments below. And if you want to stay ahead of every MCU and X-Men update as it breaks, hit like and subscribe so you never miss a video.